Recently I took a look at and ranked every single minigame in Mario Party Jamboree, and today I wanted to instead look at all of the 7 boards and rank them from worst to best, with also having them on a tier list at the end. If you disagree with any of my rankings, feel free to leave your rankings in the comments below. But with that said, let's rank every Mario Party Jamboree board. At number 7, I have Mario's Rainbow Castle. Nostalgia aside, as this is probably the first that we've all played from the original Mario Party, this board is the most simple. There's only 2 diverging paths on it, with one leading you to Boo, and the other one either bringing you to the star quicker or giving yourself more time by a few spaces. Now, you'll probably need those spaces with this board having the mechanic of the star turning into Imposter Bowser every time that it's bought, each time an event space is landed on, or if someone uses the board exclusive item being the Tower Turner. Now, this board to me is definitely better than its original version, since we have all of the items that we can use on it that weren't in Mario Party 1. One other difference in this version from the original that I think is better is that the Bowser gives you a star, which takes 20 coins instead of 40. I would have been fine with that, taking a star if you had one, or the original 40 coins if the allies weren't a thing. But with the possibility of losing 80 coins or 2 stars because of the allies, this definitely makes a lot more sense. It's hard to have this here since I don't think it's a bad board at all, but something has to go here. At number 6, I have Mega Wiggler's Tree Party. This is the board that's seen as the beginning board for the game, and its main gimmick is the giant wiggler that's in the middle of the board. You can use the wiggler to get to the other side of the board faster, or you can land on event spaces with bells, or use the wiggler bell to prevent others from using it and having to go the longer way around, or if they're on wiggler, you could force them to go further away from the star. You could also make the wiggler angry randomly when using the bells and make the spaces on him red and Bowser, deterring others from running across him. Now, this board has 2 other events that can occur, and I feel that both could have been done better. The first one is the piranha plants on each side that start by taking 5 coins from the first person to land on them, 6 person from the next, and so on and so forth. The way that I would have done this differently would have been to start it at 5, but either make it go up by 2 each time, or have it be a chance that it could go up by 2 each time, with obviously all of the other times only being 1. By the time you get to the second half of the game, or you get really close to ending the game, it's just not that much of a threat to land on, since you'll most likely have a good amount of coins. Now, speaking of coins, the other event is a spike that allows you to pick 2 honeycombs, and for each one that you get that doesn't have bees, you'll get about 14 to 16 coins. Now imagine that with an ally, if you do it perfectly, you can get about 60. It allows you to get a lot of coins, but the piranha plants just aren't as punishing as they could be for those amount of coins. The only other thing about this board is that you can get to the start of the board rather easily, and since the golden pipes are in the shops halfway through, it could just become filled with them for the last few turns. Other than that, the ideas for the board are pretty good, but if they just had a few tweaks, it could have made it just that much of a better board. At number 5, I have Roll'em Raceway. Genuinely, I thought this board was going to be my least favorite going in, but I've had a decent amount of fun playing it each time. I like everybody racing around in cars, granted by ourselves, and while it is decently simple like Mario's Rainbow Castle, with only having a couple differing paths, the things that I prefer on this board is that there is a way to change how the happening spaces work, the Boo is always on a path that everybody can get to, and the star is in technically 2 different locations, which can make for some fun moments where you can screw someone over and most likely get screwed over yourself. If you land on the event spaces that are on the opposite path of the starting area, it'll change the launch pads all around the board. So you can go from being launched past the item shop, the Boo, or even the star, to now being launched before them and being able to do or get them again. Also on that same path, you can get your inventory filled with dice items for 10 coins, and usually get your money's worth by getting double dice, triple dice, custom, and even some payday dice. Definitely though, never creepy dice. That never happens. Now, I did slightly mention it before, but one big mechanic that is part of this board is that each path of the star locations has event spaces that will push you past the stars themselves. Of course, that would be extremely annoying if not for two things. The boo is more or less right after it, and if you want to just get back ASAP, you could just use the board exclusive item, the turbo dice. This allows you to roll 4 dice, but the catch is that it will pass everything. You cannot do any event that is passable other than choosing which way you would like to go. So all in all, it could be one of my more favorite types of these boards that you just have to get to the specific point to get the star in. At number 4 is Western Land. This board is from Mario Party 2 and has made a decent amount of changes to it, with most if not all of them being for the better. It starts with the terrain steamer, which now when you go to it, you can choose whether to go either 1 or 2 stations instead of only 1 like it was in Mario Party 2, with the possibility of going forward or backwards still being random. The other change from the original is the board exclusive item, the steamer ticket, which will call a steamer to any of the stations that you want if he is not currently there. So if you wanted to, you could use that ticket to either bring yourself to a better position even if the train isn't there. You could use it to bring others on the tracks back to the beginning, or if you're feeling dickish, you could do both for the fun of it. This board also adds 2 new paths, one around the beginning and one around the end. The first one now allows you to go towards the center after passing the shop that's on the tracks, instead of being stuck on them until you reach the Hootenanny. The other one at the end now allows you to loop and potentially use the skeleton gate that changed from being on the top of the path on the right to now on the bottom, so you could loop to get to the shop again and get to Boo again. The one thing that got both an upgrade and a downgrade for me is the Hootenanny itself. I like that now you can either bring one random person, everyone, or no one, but I still prefer it to be something that you can pass instead of landing on it unless the star is in one very specific spot. There's just no real reason to use that other path. So overall, great board, but just can't compete with the other 3 that are ahead of it for me. At number 3, I have Rainbow Galleria. I think this board was the board that almost everybody was looking forward to playing while we were waiting to get the game in our hands, and it does not disappoint. There are events everywhere that allow you to buy a whole slew of items, ranging from your typical movement items, to golden items, to rare items. This board also has the best event, which gives me memories of Mario Party 4, where you could gamble for a bunch of money, but here it's about how many times that you've bought items, and that will determine how many times that you can pull the balls, with the top prize being the golden pipe. Now, there's a whole ton of positive things when it comes to this board, but there are some negatives for me as well. The first is the flash sale itself. I don't mind it, but I feel like it would be better if it showed up a specific amount of times for each amount of turns that you can play, but at random. Since it's every 5 turns, you can plan ahead of things and have a chance of busting the game wide open during them, whereas I feel like it would be more fun for it to randomly show up, let's say 3 times in a 20-turn game, and you don't know when it'll happen until it's that turn. It helps that we have the markup sticker to make others have to pay double for their items and stars, but honestly, this item should really be on every board, not just this one if I'm being honest. The other thing is that the board seems much bigger than it actually is, except for literally one area. In just about every other area other than the right side of the top floor, there is almost always something that you can ride to get to a different area rather quickly. You'd think you're about 20 spaces away from the star, but in actuality, you're about 7 away because of an escalator and then the elevator. Having all the shortcuts around the board isn't a bad thing, but I feel like it would work better if there were maybe about 10 to 15 more spaces in the main parts of the board, just to not really feel as cheap to be able to get something when you just feel so far away from it. Other than those 2 minor complaints, the board is absolutely amazing, and I still look forward to playing it every single time that it's picked. Now at number 2, I have Goomba Lagoon. This was the board that I personally was looking most forward to, and I love it. This board's main mechanic is that the tides will rise and fall every 2 turns and block off the ability to go from one area to another and force those in the tides to be brought back to the island that they were on prior to the tides rising. However, this board gives you ample ability to get items that will allow you to warp around it, so if you choose so, you can have that feeling of not feeling stuck on an island if you choose to do so. The other big gimmick of the board is the Goomba Volcano, which will either shoot out golden Goombas that will give you 5 coins for each one you pass, or the lava bubbles that will take away 3 coins for each one that you pass. I'm pretty sure that the possibility of either of them showing up is random, but it feels like in my own playing that the golden Goombas show up more often, so I feel like it would have been better if the lava bubbles also took 5 coins from you, or if the Goombas only gave you 3. One other thing that I really like, but definitely could have been different, is the event where you can get one of 4 items in treasure chests on the ship. I would have rathered this event be more difficult to follow since it barely moves and just isn't that difficult to follow in the slightest. And of course, at number 1, I have King Bowser's Keep. Before I talk about anything involving this board, if you have still yet to play this game or this board, and you like chaos, click off now and experience the board for yourself first. This board needs to be experienced blind the first time that you play it. I promise you. Now, this board is probably in my top 5 bare minimum in the entire series, and definitely my favorite Bowser board. The main mechanic is the imposter Bowser in the middle of the board, which every 2 turns will add 2 Bowser spaces to the Bowser Byway, making it extremely treacherous to go through. Now, something like this would probably seem very bad and annoying if not for the vault in the top right of the board. Every single thing that Bowser takes from everyone, stars or coins, goes into the vault, and if you reach the vault, you can try to enter a 2-digit combination to get everything that's inside of it. If you get 1 digit right, it'll stay lit up for everyone, so it's a risk reward of whether you try to wait for somebody to potentially get one of the numbers confirmed. Another thing that I love in with the knowledge of knowing that the vault is there is that Bowser can take stars basically from the beginning of the game instead of having to wait until the second half of the board. Oh, also, if he just so chooses to do so, he can just bypass the roulette and take a star from you. Again, a huge dick move, but since you can technically get it back with the vault, it doesn't really bother me that much. Now, I've gone all this time and have only talked about Bowser himself in the vault. I haven't even been able to mention anything else when it comes to this board. There's 2 Mecha Koopas that give you money if you're able to defeat them with dice rolls and will take money from you if you can't. These are fine, but like with a good amount of things in the game, I just wish that they would give you a few less coins. This is also the only other board other than Western Land that has skeleton gates, with both of them leading to boos, with one being locked behind it and the other just giving you another possibility of getting to it if you want to. Now, I could be wrong, but I believe that this board has the highest amount of star spaces with 10. I could be wrong, but I just don't remember any others ever having double-digit locations to get them. So yeah, I fell in love with this board within playing half of a 20-turn game and have loved playing it every single time since. Well, that is every board ranked from worst to best. Here's my tier list of where everything would end up being. So again, if you want to let me know where all the boards rank for you guys, let me know in the comments below. Now, if you don't mind me, I need to take my leave as I have something big that I'm working on with videos now being a little bit different here. I'll just leave you with that for now. Until next time.